Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the last webinar of the year. As always, we'll be talking about resources for small businesses in Southern California for dealing with all kinds of economic impacts, and we'll have some special guests today to comment on how small businesses could be thinking about a post-COVID world, whether they need to pivot or have opportunities to expand their current operations. And we're so grateful for our keynote speaker, California State Treasurer Fiona Ma, for being here with us today to share her insights and wisdom. But first, to get us started, I am delighted to introduce our co-host, Jiah Miesel, who is the president of Epic World Media and a former San Diego Earth Day director. He has produced many global events working with the US Olympics team, Anthony Robbins, Microsoft, former President Bill Clinton, and Sting. He's a very distinguished environmentalist and media maven, and we're so delighted to be co-hosting with him. So please welcome Jiah.
Thank you. Angela's super smart, bilingual, recently got her master's degree from the University of Cambridge, and is focusing on sustainable urbanism. Thank you, Angela. So we're here today to share some resources to help you pivot, grow your business. And even during these challenging times, a lot of businesses are thriving. There's a lot of disruptive businesses happening, innovations happening. And I'm excited to be part of this. I'm committed to helping bring some good news to people right now during this pandemic. This webinar is part of the state of California's governor's Go Biz program. And I think it's important that we get back to some basic business fundamentals. When I was an Earth Day director, one of the things I helped coin was to think globally and act locally. So it's important that we keep the bigger vision of our dreams in place and go for our businesses. And at the same time, we really need to focus on the fundamentals, our finances, our marketing, our team, taking care of the basics, having our business plan in place, and getting resources right now during the pandemic is critical. As a young boy, I really loved Buzz Aldrin and the space program, really touched my heart. And from space, our beautiful blue planet is without borders, without banks, without the pandemic. It's just a beautiful living planet floating in space. And a lot of astronauts, when they're looking back at the space, are just in total awe. And I think we need to remember that sometimes. We get caught up. Too many of us are watching the news right now. And the news is actually designed to create stress and anxiety. We need to move forward in a powerful way. So I'm excited about the opportunities. I remember as an Earth Day director, one thing I'm going to leave you with before I turn it over here is that when we were doing Earth Day, 100,000 people in Balboa Park was our flagship event. And at the time, we were focusing on a hole in the ozone. And a hole in the ozone at the time seemed so overwhelming. People were asking me, how are we going to stop a hole in the ozone layer, that very thin blue layer around our planet that keeps us all safe? And we did it. We actually did it. When's the last time you've heard about a hole in the ozone? You know, we stepped up as a nation. We stepped up worldwide. We worked collectively to solve that problem. I've always loved in the movies when two struggling nations, two challenging, like great foes, like warriors that are fighting each other, when they've joined forces and worked together for the common good to overcome even a bigger challenge. And that's what we're needing to have happen right now. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest here is Jim Bunch. Jim is the co-founder of POWUR, a leader in the solar industry. Jim is an impact investor and advisor. He's on a mission, and his latest ventures are in education and the energy sectors. He's a powerhouse. I'm excited to have him here. He's a buddy. Jim.
Thank you, Jiah. Pleasure to be here. And for anyone who's watching this, it's our honor to serve because I think that's why we're all here and to get through these challenging times and to turn this into one of our most inspiring times as individuals, as business owners, as states, and as countries around the world. This has impacted everyone, and we can take this and make this one of our greatest comebacks of all time. So thank you, Jiah. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, go for it. Tell us more.
Well, so when we talked about this, I as a business owner, as an investor, as an advisor to CEOs, and there's a lot that's happening here. And the first thing that I would challenge people to do is to try to find the good in this disruption. And sometimes that's difficult for people. If you've got the right mindset, you can turn any lack of resources into being resourceful. And it's one of the key characteristics of entrepreneurs is, many times we start businesses because we see a problem that needs to be solved, or we see something that we want to bring forth in the world. And there isn't one entrepreneur that I've met that doesn't have some kind of a challenge or a hurdle or an obstacle that they have to overcome. And what I've discovered is the entrepreneurs, the CEOs, the men and women that take on these epic missions are driven by something that's greater than them. And when these obstacles show up, the ones who find a way to tap into that energy and that enthusiasm and to leverage the talents and the mindsets and the resources of the people around them, they have a tendency to overcome these problems. And some people don't, or they feel that they can't. And so the first thing that I would share with you is, as an entrepreneur, as just a human here, we have been given one of our greatest obstacles, and that is, how do we pivot? How do we handle this disruption? Because it's affecting at our core so many different things. It's affecting our businesses, our livelihoods. It's affecting our relationships. It's affecting our health. This is proven one thing, and that is that we are all connected. We are connected through breath. We are connected through air. And those of us who are concerned about the environment, this should be a wake-up call that none of us are separate, because this affects every one of us. The virus has proven that. And I think it's a good reminder. So while there are people who have lost loved ones, I have friends who have lost loved ones. I have plenty of friends who've recovered from the health side of this virus. And they encourage us to continue to stay safe, but also stay committed to our values, stay committed to growing our businesses. And for the industries that have been disrupted, and I have friends in the restaurant industry, I have friends who run dry cleaners, I have friends who run, bio companies of all different types and different sizes. And across the board, we are supporting each other in finding ways to innovate or to pivot. And if you're in a business that for whatever reason is going to be out of business in 6 to 12 months, either the industry itself isn't needed anymore. And I know that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, but you may have to pivot industries altogether. But take those talents, take your skills, take your resources, and apply them into an area that's going to make a great impact. You saw this in businesses where they were running bars, and all of a sudden they changed to being distilleries for for helping with sanitation. You see this with automobile manufacturers that pivoted and started creating ventilators. That is the beauty of innovation. And innovation either comes by choice or it comes by force. And so I encourage everyone to take a look at this and ask, why is this happening, and how can I benefit from this? How can I create value from this in some way, shape, or form? So if you're in a business that needs to pivot, then accept that and make a pivot. Find a way to make an impact with something that you may be struggling with. If you are in a business, and fortunately we have a couple businesses like this that have been positively impacted, and now they're dealing with scaling issues. We're hiring 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people a week. We're bringing in thousands of people into our company. And as a result, people are having to deal with a different side of this, which is there's great demand and we're having to deal with scale. So if you happen to be in a business that all of a sudden is massively growing, get support for that. Now, I've been fortunate to be in businesses that have grown from 6 employees to 1,500 in a year and gone public. So I know what it's like to be on that side, and we're creating multiple businesses, but they're all impact. So I would encourage everyone to take a look and ask, is what I'm doing making the greatest impact? And can I align my impact with my income? Because that's one of the things that seems to be a real challenge for a number of people. So Jiah, that would be my first piece, is really look at your mindset and how can you make this a victory no matter what's happening.
Awesome. We'll get back to you again here in a moment. At this time, I want to introduce State Treasurer Fiona Ma. Fiona oversees more than $2 trillion of revenue a year. She's the advocate of green financing and environmental policy. She's a total leader in terms of establishing California as the world's green bond leader. And she's here to share some resources available to small businesses statewide. Let's please welcome, it's my great honor to welcome State Treasurer Fiona Ma.
Thank you. Thank you, Jiah. Thank you. It was great to hear your opening remarks, and definitely your tagline, think globally and act locally, I think has really been an emerging theme during this COVID-19 crisis, where we are kind of locked down and in our houses and not able to travel and do commerce the way some of us have been used to doing before. And thank you, Jim, for your comments about disruptions. I did 4 webinars with a group called Brain Zooming. And like you know, how do you think about pivoting to that next level, whether, you know, you're in a business perhaps that needs to change and needs to transform itself. And so they are all on my website, or you can Google Fiona Ma, Brain Zooming, and you can see those free webinars that we did with that group. But as your state treasurer, I am your banker. And so as Jiah said, over $2 trillion comes through my bank. I also have a short-term investment portfolio of about $100 billion and also manage about $85 billion in state bonds. But I also chair 15 different boards, commissions, and authorities. We fund or finance hospitals, schools, public transportation, green energy, advanced manufacturing. I have 3 savings programs, but my heart has really been in advocating for small businesses. I started my public service career after leaving one of the big 8 accounting firms as the president of the Small Business Association. And I understand that we have 4 million small business owners here in the state of California. They are the lifeblood of our economy, yet we all know how hard it is to make it as a small business owner. All the rules, regulations, red tape, taxes, fines, fees, everything that impacts a small business. And so we, during this COVID-19 crisis, have pivoted my office to creating online resource guides. So if you go to my website, www.treasure.ca.gov, I've got 6 resource guides that we update on a real-time basis so that you're not applying for a program that has already been exhausted. But for small business, individuals, seniors, nonprofits, food access, and tax relief. And so we encourage you to log on and check those out. We also have a number of small business loan programs that are available for small business owners and nonprofits. The ibank.ca.gov has money for small businesses who may have a difficult time finding access to capital. So iBank has a loan guarantee program, and then under my office, I have a loan loss reserve program, and that is my CalCap for small business. So if you are at that desperate stage where you cannot find any other financial institutions to give you that loan, I would encourage you to contact one of the institutions that participate in my CalCap for small business, and hopefully we can help you with that needed capital. We also have a number of programs since this is the U.S. Green Chamber. My office, not only are we issuing bonds that are called green bonds and established a committee to create standards so that when investors invest in a green bond in the state of California, there's actually criteria that is associated with that. And I'm sure Mr. Miesel's smiling because It's like the organic food movement way back when. Everybody wants organic, but we didn't know what organic really meant. And so hopefully by next year, we will have standards when we sell green bonds. But we also have a number of programs. If you are an advanced manufacturer and you are going to buy equipment that is going to green and clean the environment, you can apply for a sales tax exemption so that you can save that 8 to 11% sales taxes. And that is under my California Alternative Energy and Transportation Financing Authority. Another program that we have is also our Go Green financing. So now as you are all home, maybe your businesses are closed, you can spend a little time and money in retrofitting your home or your business in terms of energy efficiency programs. We also have loan programs to help you with your HVAC, your LED lighting, or energy efficiency appliances like heat pumps or cool roofs, etc. Also, GoBiz is under the governor's office, and they have a number of different programs, and I'm going to leave that to Ling and some of the other folks to talk about the amazing programs. But I guess what I want to just leave you with is that the state of California has a number of loan, grants, and bond programs. So if we can be of service and we don't talk about something here today, and I'm not here to answer your question, please feel free to email me directly at askfiona@treasure.ca.gov. Catherine Asprey on my team monitors that email and will do her best to answer those questions or put you in connection with the agencies and representatives who can help you. So please know that you are not in this alone. Thank you all for wearing your mask, watching your distance, washing your hands, and hopefully when the vaccine comes out, we will all be getting back to business very, very soon, and we can meet in person again. So thank you all for this time, and thank you all for all you're doing to help all our constituents during these difficult times.
Thank you so much. We're going through really challenging times, but like Treasurer Ma said, we're all in this together, and we're always so appreciative of the Treasurer's efforts in distributing these resources, really valuable resources to our communities. So thank you again. One of the people who are instrumental in actually managing these resources on the ground is Ling Sieu. So we'd really like to bring him up right now. Daniel is the project director of the Minority Business Development Agency in Pasadena under the U.S. Department of Commerce. He is a very active advocate for the ethnic minority communities in Southern California, and he's been campaigning for rights and resources for our communities for more than 20 years. We're so grateful for his work, and we're very happy to have a representative from the MBDA here with us today. So welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Jiah. Pleasure to be here today. As Angela mentioned, I run the Minority Business Development Center in Pasadena, and in the good times, we are corporate consultants to medium, large-sized businesses to make sure they keep growing and hiring people and adding to our economy and our tax base. Now during the COVID period, we've been given additional tasks to help all businesses to stabilize their business, maintain, and then basically survive this pandemic that we're going through, and kind of coach them going through, as well as point out different resources on both federal and state level. So fortunately, we're working very closely with the state treasurer, who you just heard, and working with them to direct resources to these small businesses. I wanted to say that right now, as you all know, we have all been waiting for a second stimulus package, but you really need to be thinking beyond that. As you know, we've been waiting, and things, our hopes have gone up, but it's also very frustrating, the fact that it can't get passed, and a lot of people are on our really counting on those funds to maintain their livelihood as well as their business. And many people, they've realized, which most of you should realize, that you need to come out with additional plans, other resources, financing, and then take a really good evaluation of your business and industry, as Jim Bunch had mentioned, to determine, is there a future in what you're doing and how long that recovery is going to take. We've been advising our clients, well, if you're in the wrong industry, you either need to come back with an additional game plan and then revisit your existing industry in the future. Otherwise, you might just be hanging out for a long time. There's no definite time period of recovery, and all industries are not the same. So if you need help evaluating your particular situation, there's different programs, whether federal or state program, that you can join, or where they can help you come up with a strategy. WS International has consultants who you'll meet today on this webinar, and they're here to give you a one-on-one consulting as well. Jiah and Ling are just two of those individuals. So it is a long-term plan, and we're all in it together, but at the same time, you really need to be proactive and really drive your business to either the next level or sustainable or into a whole new industry. And hopefully we can help you, and don't feel shy about asking for advice from more than one program as well. So in that, if we can be any assistance to you, please reach out to us so we can. That's what we're here for. And hopefully we'll all make it out of this relatively unscathed. So thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure, and good luck to us all. Hopefully we can all, a year from now, be smiling and in a better position than today.
Thank you, Daniel Sieu. Awesome. I want to bring Jim Bunch back in. Jim, could you just jump in for just briefly, just 1 or 2 minutes here, and just give us some more golden nuggets?
Yeah, I think a lot of the same things you're going to hear over and over again. It's really important for you to find the opportunity in this. Make sure that you're controlling your mindset. Collaborate with other people who are moving in the right direction. I know it's easy to get caught up in conversations of what's not working, but the more time that business owners invest in what's not working, you're putting energy in the wrong place. I've been in numerous companies and own numerous companies where we have to pivot. It's just part of the game. And business is tough enough on its own, right? Having these outside factors makes it exponentially harder, but there is always a way through it. There's always a way through it. And sometimes you have to switch lanes. So I know I'm giving broad general advice here, but if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, no matter what size you're at and you're hearing this, then you know there's a part of you inside that can find a way through this. So ask for help. Not always easy for entrepreneurs to do, but ask for help from experts and stay engaged in your own rescue. That's what I would tell you. So it's not always easy, but there is a way through this, I promise.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is Michelle Thatcher. She's a leader with 25 years of nonprofit conservation leadership experience. She's building an educational platform for green businesses around the nation. She launched the Global Climate Pledge, and she is the co-founder of the Green Chamber of Commerce. Michelle.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And it's such an honor to be here. I'm going to go ahead and start the slideshow. So I wanted to focus, I know Daniel has so much experience in this area as well, but we've had so many stories come across our plate lately that and we work a lot with women and minority-owned businesses at the U.S. Green Chamber. I want to say that, you know, I've been doing a lot of presentations globally, and one of the main areas that I talk about is how we in the United States, we're only 4% of the population, but even just recently, now we're having 20% of the world's deaths, and there are a lot of challenges. But going back to what Jim and Fiona and everyone is talking about, not focusing strictly on that. You know, yes, that's happening, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we've seen so many wonderful things happening. So just to go through this, like we want to do a reset. We want to be positive, just building upon what Jim said. Building that network, educate and resiliency are some of the key areas that I want to go into. Essentially, adapting. I mean, when COVID hit, I know with even us at the U.S. Green Chamber, we're a nonprofit organization. I mean, it hit hard and it hit so fast. And I think we were all a little bit shell-shocked at first, but it's really just stopping for a moment and saying, okay, what's working and maybe what's not working, and going back to, yes, it's time to pivot. And really trying to adapt to the culture and what's happening right at that moment. And you might have to readapt when the economy shifts back. So just making sure that you are taking the time to adapt and be positive, going back to the, you know, the message of looking for those opportunities. There are so many opportunities out there. I cannot wait to get on the websites that Fiona talked about, diving into those programs, sharing those programs with everyone, all of our business members and all of our network throughout California. It's amazing how many untapped resources there are, and they are untapped. So the fact that each of you are here today and you heard about these resources and these resources are available to you, the majority of the public do not have a clue. Those businesses out there don't have clues. So just being here and being part of this program, you now have a leg up from everybody else that's not part of this program. And study those successes. You know, hear all the time, don't focus on the ones that are failing. I mean, those are the ones that are in the news now, but focus on the ones that have success and listen carefully to what they are doing that has made them a success. Part of what we do at the U.S. Green Chamber and what chambers do as a whole, which we will get into that, is we build a network. And part of having a network, so just looking around, like, who is your network and how do you reach out to them? So it's not a matter of just asking for support, which we do want to do, but it's also giving support. What can, you know, feeling of abundance, like what can you give to somebody else? Because the second you start giving, then you will feel empowered at that moment. You know, and it's hard right now to feel empowered if you're struggling at your business, but once you start giving to somebody else, even if it's just advice, I mean, I seek advice all the time, and I hope and I give advice to as many people as I can. Support each other, be part of that community, be part of the family. We'll talk about, we work global, even though we're the U.S. Green Chamber, so see how you can leverage that. Especially, I know so many of our minority-owned businesses, they support each other, not just within the country, but outside of the country. And really going back to values, the reason we get so much support is because people want to be part of our network, because we have different kinds of values than typical businesses. When the pandemic hit, we were just about ready to launch 2 major programs. And I was just like, oh my goodness, my heart sank. What are we going to do? Do we maybe delay them till after the pandemic? We really just didn't know what to do. And then we really started to look at what assets do we have? Because, you know, maybe we see a decline in membership or there's other things that are out there. So we really start to look at what can we do as an organization? So we looked at our corporate culture and values, and said, okay, you know, we've been building this sense of family and this global network for so long. Like, maybe we could leverage that. And when anybody comes into our space, anybody at all, we say, you know what, thank you so much. You know, we welcome you. You're part of our global sustainability family. And just like family, we're with you in perpetuity. It's not a matter of like, we're going to do business and then be gone. We're done with you. No, we want to be part of your family. We want to help you. We're always going to be there for you. And because of that, when we have that kind of culture, when we were launching the Global Climate Pledge, which we decided, okay, let's just go ahead and go for it. One of our team members who heads up our certification program is Elena Olson. And Elena, she works with us, but she also happens to be on the USA Olympic rugby team. And Elena called up one day and she said, hi, Michelle, you know, do you think it might be helpful if we get the USA Olympic rugby team to do a video for you? You know, would that be of assistance to you? And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. We launched the program. It was something that just went viral. We ended up utilizing other international connections to launch our new program of the Coalition for Sustainable Chambers. And in a matter of just a few months, we now have 16 chambers. They're all across the globe. So just 2 programs that we were completely unsure of just went completely viral, and people joining all the time. So our future is our team. Ask your team for help. Be there for them. And continue to educate yourself. We are in this perfect opportunity. If you have a few moments, just jump in and take some extra classes. We have some certification courses. Other people have programs. You might want to take a college course. If you have extra time, leverage that opportunity to do so. And here's just a couple of quick steps. I'm just going to go through these very quickly because sometimes you're just like, well, I just need to save money right now. Could you, it's like, these are all great ideas. They're kind of big, yes, I have a team, but I need to actually save money or I need to earn money. And these are steps that every business can go through. It's the low-hanging fruit. So just even looking at, yes, this is what we talked about as far as like some of that engagement of the sustainability plans and green teams, but then just how much waste are you doing and how much money is going to that waste. So look at those 7 R's, make sure that you're taking advantage of every opportunity to reduce your waste because that's going to save you money. Efficient transportation, thankfully, we're all here right now doing the most efficient transportation type of meeting that we can possibly do. We've been doing this for a long time at US Green Chamber. We encourage you to keep doing this. It's inexpensive. We save on resources, we save on rent, we save in so many ways. So can you continue to do this? And if you can't do this at all, at least go to mass transportation, look at green fleets, look at your shipping and receiving. Again, you're going to save money. The lowest hanging fruit is energy efficiency. You immediately, you get the return on the investment. You'll hear Vice President-elect Joe Biden talk about like, here's this big energy efficiency, and people are like, what is he talking about? Like, well, who cares about energy efficiency? Can this really create so many jobs? If you're not in that space already, sorry about that. If you're not in that space already, then, and you're looking for a way to pivot, this is a wonderful area to go into. And water conservation, social sustainability being part of those movements there can be really part of bringing in your new team members. Again, going back to certifications, but in the end, it is about making history. We're in a history-making moment. So where can you take your business? What can it look like? And it's not of the sentiments of men and women who make history, but their actions. So it's time to start taking action, and we'll just come out of there. So thank you so much. I know I went a little bit over, so I apologize.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much. The only thing standing between us and what we desire for our businesses is the story we tell ourselves about it. And so those that are winning right now are those who are finding a way to change the story and just do it. Just go for it and persevere and make it happen. And sustainability is an important part of the conversation. We are all connected, and I'm really grateful to be here. And you did an awesome job, Michelle. Thank you. So next up is my buddy Jim Kazmarek. And one moment, I want to see what, pulling him up here. Jim's the inventor of the Ember Deflector, which protects homes and businesses from fire. He's a disaster preparedness expert. And James, can you please tell us, as a business owner, how do we prepare for fire and other disasters? Jim? James?
Thanks, Jiah. Just hitting the unmute button there. You know, the most dangerous words in Zoom are, you're still muted. Jiah, thanks so much. And my special thanks to Fiona Ma and the distinguished panelists that are gathered here today. So as Jiah said, my name is James Kazmarek, and I've lived here in Southern California for over 35 years. A little bit more about me. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I've worked in the aerospace and the thin film membrane industries for the majority of my adult life. And I'm here to talk to you about disaster preparedness. I know it's a little off topic from what we've been hearing about, but I think it's important to remember that there are ways that we can push back against disasters during a time when we can feel really vulnerable and not at our strongest or at our best. That came about during the huge fires of 2007 and 2008 when my family and I were forced to evacuate. Upon our safe return to our home, which was still standing, thank goodness, I immersed myself into researching fire protection and, more broadly, disaster preparedness. I spent the last decade inventing fire prevention products and researching and putting into effect some simple common sense strategies to prepare for disaster, especially wildfires. You know, we really stand on the shoulders of giants such as CAL FIRE and the California State Fire Marshal, who have done such a great job of researching wildfire, so good in fact that other states in the Southwest and even other countries that are now experiencing these very dramatic wildfires, they've adopted our fire codes and philosophies around fighting fires and fire prevention. Jiah and his awesome team will be providing everyone that's watching today email addresses and links to critical documents. So just relax, breathe, and just take in today's presentation. Just let it land on you and know that there are forces and folks that are out there working tirelessly to help reduce the impact of not just COVID, but earthquakes, wildfires, hurricanes. There's a lot of really smart people that are working on this stuff, and there's just an incredible amount of documentation to help you do that. My mantra is disaster preparedness. If you fail to plan, your plan will fail. So everybody has their top 10. I have my top 10 guidelines for preparing, and these can be used whether you're preparing for wildfires, hurricanes, earthquakes, derechos. And so the first one is know which one of these that you'll face, and maybe you'll have to face one or more of these. So find out what type of disasters are visited on the communities that you reside in. And this will help you better prepare for which disasters may be visited on you in your community. Really simple, but a lot of folks don't, they don't look into this, and that is to learn your area's evacuation routes and shelter locations. Have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And they may be A, B, and C from your home, but they may also be A, B, and C from your work. You may not be at home or in a place that's familiar to you when disaster strikes. on a personal note, you want to know how you'll reconnect with people who matter, especially family members who may have been separated from you during the evacuation. And of course, extended family that might not be affected. However, they'll be concerned about you. So have a communication methodology. You're going to call this person or that person, and they're going to get the word out and spread it around to other folks so that people aren't troubled by your sudden disappearance and only knowing that, well, there's a big fire in their area. And the ways that you can do this are to sign up for emergency alerts and know how officials will communicate with you during a disaster. We've all gotten the alerts, the Amber Alerts on our telephone when kids are taken, during earthquakes. The abundance of electronic communications that are out there for officials to communicate to you, but you have to initiate that communication. So go out there and find them and sign up for them. And then figure out what to do if you're caught away from home. Tune into those alerts, get in your escape routes, and more importantly, and this is one that's often missed, is have an emergency kit in your car with you. Clothes and a blanket or sleeping bag, water, snacks that last a long time. Email yourself scanned copies of critical documents like insurance documents, medical information forms, other pieces of critical information, and have them in your email because you can, get into your email from anywhere. So have that information in the bank there of your email system so you can retrieve it. Have a kit and know how to use it. And there are many types of readily made available kits, or create your own with your family. It can actually be fun and instill a sense of security in your family. 7 and 8 are combined, and that's our pets and people who may need special preparation. If you've got a handicapped individual or exotic pets, they'll be seriously impacted. Talk to those disadvantaged individuals ahead of time so as to prepare them for the disruption and not just have it land on them when it happens. Learn some emergency skills that can come in handy. How to use a fire extinguisher, how to start a fire, and what to do after your fire is no longer needed to put it out properly and not start additional fires. And then be a superhero. Find out how to help your community during a disaster. There's many great grassroots organizations across this area and the country to connect with. Thank you so much for your time and attention, everyone. Jiah?
Thank you, Jim. Awesome. So there's some good resources, and we're going to send out documents to everybody on the webinar. And I'm going to open it up to questions. So please, the way we're going to handle that is if you could please send your question in in the chat area. And Angela, do we have any questions coming in yet? And would you go ahead and handle that, please?
So we don't have any questions in the chat yet. Please feel free to drop any of your questions in the chat. I do have a question from the Q&A. It says Senate Bill 721 or the balcony bill requires small businesses, which is a homeowners association, to replace or repair balconies. And after looking at various alternatives, there's an assessment of about $30K per household on average. So this might be a better question for one of our consultants to address in one of the one-on-one sessions, but I'm just gonna throw it out there to see if anybody has any insights about this question so far.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I'm actually going to, yeah, it sounds like, the perfect question to address with one of our consultants. I'm going to put their information, contact info in the chat. So what this is you can reach out to any one of them to schedule a free one-on-one session, and our consultants will lead you through all of these resources that Treasurer Ma mentioned, and more resources that she perhaps didn't get to mention, to help your small business, navigate, whether it's COVID recovery or any recovery from any other kinds of disasters. So please reach out. We'd love to hear from you and to help your business get through this challenging time. So we have a question about from Payam. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Payam is from POWUR, or I'm assuming that you mean CAL FIRE. You work on keeping people safe. Could you share about how much impact your innovative product has had on reducing home fires?
That's a James Kazmarek question. Go ahead, James.
Thank you so much for the question and that introduction, Angela. Yeah, so our product is currently in development, but at a bigger philosophy, the Ember Deflector system, the ethos that's really driving us is to focus on protection strategies. And what we have developed and discovered in our research is that there are several key points of entry around the home. And although it's the big fires that make great television when we're seeing these wildfires on TV, it's actually the embers, the airborne embers that attack structures and create ladder fires in the wildland-urban interface. And if you can prevent the embers from getting into these vulnerable areas called vents that are purposely built into home constructions to provide the control for temperature and moisture, if you can deny these embers entry into these valuable components of the home, these vents, most homes, because they are stucco construction, that's concrete, and they have fire-resistant asphalt shingles or concrete shingles, most homes would survive an ember storm, the attack of embers that are generated from a wildfire. If you can protect a home against embers, the majority of homes will survive. Now, if that big wall of fire comes and it's got a flame front that is 1800 to 2200 degrees Fahrenheit, there's really nothing you can do to protect your home against that. At that point, you evacuate, get out, get to somewhere safe. But there are meaningful, important steps that you can do to protect the vents of your home. And again, that'll be up in the follow-up content, and it'll go into deeper detail if you want to research that or contact me directly. I'd be happy to go at a more granular level on what some of these components are and the philosophies around them. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, James. Angela, any other questions? I see a few in there. Maybe pick one more. Pick the best one.
So all of these questions are super good. We might not get to all of them for time reasons, but don't worry, we will save these questions and then try to get them all answered in a follow-up email. So let's see. We have a question from Paul. Will there be any relief on the 800, and I think that he means the minimum tax to all corporations and LLC in the state of California. Will there be any relief on that tax during the shutdown for many small businesses? I believe this is a specific question for Fiona, which we will try to address in the follow-up email, but if any of the panelists have any insights, feel free to share them.
Is Daniel still on?
Angela,
yeah, go.
This question actually was asked quite a few months ago, of the state treasurer, and there was no relief in that regard. You still have to pay it. If anything's changed since then, it could have, but I do recall that question specifically, and the answer was no at that time. But yeah, we can confirm that with Fiona, and we'll get back to you in that regard.
Okay, wonderful. We've got a question in the Q&A. Can you comment on the California Rebuilding Fund? which makes available $25 million to help impacted small businesses. So I'm wondering if that's something that you'd be able to comment on, Daniel.
The 25 million?
Yes, the California Rebuilding Fund.
Actually, I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, then I think we will reach out to Fiona and have her comment on. I believe, yeah, this is coming out of her office, so we will be sure to put the question for her. And I believe there's a question also about the new grant program issued by the governor for small businesses, and I think that's referring to the same one, the California Rebuilding Fund. So we will try to answer that question when we after the webinar in a follow-up email as well.
Angela, you might direct people to Fiona's website. That is the new. There's several facets of that program. Some are tax credits, some are actual grant or low interest loan programs. As to the underwriting criteria, you'll have to take a look in it if it has any of that criteria on the website itself. So we will be sending out the link to State Treasurer's website, which addresses all of the different facets of that $500 million relief fund. And that was just released last week. Yeah,
so I will put the contact info for our consultants in the chat once again. If you missed it earlier in the chat, so please feel free to reach out. Our consultants are so knowledgeable. They'd be able to answer a lot of your questions. I can say that right now that, yes, so I'll put in the, thank you for reminding me, Daniel. I'll put the Treasurer's website in the chat again. And if you go to our website, you'll see the different links and different sections of our website that deals with all of these different loans and tax credits. And I believe for California Rebuilding Fund, there is a website where you'll have to input some of the information for your small business, and then that website will make a determination as to what whether you would be able to qualify and what you would be able to qualify for. So please check those out. I'm seeing a question, is there a grant for requalification? And could you, Yelena, could you clarify what you mean by requalification? And yes, there would be a recording of the webinar. So we will send the link to the recording in our follow-up email as well.
Okay, awesome webinar. Thank you everybody so much. I really appreciate all of you being here. I want to support, I want to mention another couple people on the team, and that's Michael Wood was behind the scenes supporting Angela with some of the different technology going on here. Also, I wanted to thank, we have a person on our team who is Paul Schumann, and his job is to help people with debt reduction, credit repair, all those kinds of things. He's on our team now also. He can be reached at Paul, or actually just call Paul at gmail.com. Just call Paul at gmail.com. I also want to thank Debbie Kinsinger, and she's part of our backbone and team also, and helping promote and other things. So without further ado, I want to thank everybody so much from the bottom of my heart. We're all in this together. We're a team, and we're going to do our best to move forward in the most positive way we can and be innovative and creative and go out there and thrive in your business. Many blessings.